did you say when Biden called you and said he wasn't running? Well, I immediately thought of him first. No. No, you didn't. Fracking. Dana Bash had her dead to rights. I was like, you said this. I have the quote. I'm reading it to you. You said there should be a ban on fracking. Why can't they just go, yeah, you know what? I got it wrong. I was talking to the wrong people. She's had this ridiculously high turnover.
Bill Maher recently criticized CNN for giving Kamala Harris favorable coverage while consistently going after Donald Trump. He argued that this kind of reporting shows why Harris struggled to connect with voters. Maher's critique wasn't just casual. It was one of his strongest media takedowns in years. Let's break down what he said.
CNN is the place where both sides can watch. And
I'm talking about the people on CNN. And what I know what the conservative side of America thinks, and I don't blame them. They were just gushing about how great a speech it was. And I think she did fine. I didn't think it was as good as they were making it out to be.
If you remember, CNN often praised Harris for even simple speeches. A basic line like "we must do better" was treated as a groundbreaking moment, analyzed endlessly as if it were a major policy shift. Experts and commentators repeatedly framed her as a rising star with all the answers. But Maher challenged this narrative, calling out what he saw as biased coverage. In his view, CNN wasn't simply reporting news. It was acting more like a promotional outlet.
It does look like tokenism. It's kind of like the same as The View.
I don't think that you can say that CNN is anything but fair. Everyone who was speaking last night, it's not like they were all Democrats. We had Dana Bash, Jake Tapper, Abby Phillip.
They come across
giving
that way.
Analysis.
They come across that way. In a moment like that, it was like 5-1.
When CNN's Caitlin Collins defended the network by saying they also cover Republican events and feature conservative guests, Maher pushed back. He argued that while conservatives do appear on CNN, the setup is rarely balanced. Often, one Republican is placed on a panel with multiple Democrats, making it uneven. Maher even compared CNN's structure to a daytime talk show, suggesting it felt more like entertainment than fair debate.
Conservatives do not trust CNN because it is so staunchly anti-Trump. He's not wrong, because they'll put on people like Adam Kinzinger or Anna Navarro, George Conway, and call them Republicans, or pretend that's being balanced by putting them on by saying, oh, see, these conservatives don't even like Trump. Only Scott Jennings over there can be called a conservative. And Maher is right. It's almost always 5-1 on shows they portray as news programs.
This is part of why many viewers have grown skeptical of CNN. Their version of balance, Maher argued, often comes across as tokenism, featuring Republicans who aren't strong representatives of conservative viewpoints. Instead of genuine debate, it feels more like stage theater. That perception, Maher said, is what drives many conservatives and independents to seek out other news sources.
Do you have the time? Your answer is not, I do. Do you have the time? Right. Yes, it's 4:00. Well, you have to understand that words don't always mean what they mean.
And when Tim Walz said, like, the American people, I talk like they do. No, you don't. No, you don't. You're a huge liar, like all politicians are. I don't care, by the way. I've always said this about politics. They're all going to lie. They're politics. It's what they lie about. Mm-hmm. I don't give a shit what you did during the Iraq War. You were in the Guard. So I don't understand why they just can't. You're just insulting my intelligence.
Maher also criticized recent interviews with both Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, saying they contained statements that didn't line up with the facts. Walz, for example, has been accused of exaggerating his background in politics and the military. Harris, on the other hand, faced questions for saying she had visited the border when records suggested otherwise. There was also controversy around her team's explanation about not appearing on Joe Rogan's podcast. Maher's main point was that when politicians make questionable claims, it's the media's responsibility to press them harder, not let those statements slide.
She said, what did you say when Biden called you and said he wasn't running? Well, I immediately thought of him first. No. No, you didn't. Fracking. Dana Bash had her dead to rights. I was like, you said this. I have the quote. I'm reading it to you. You said there should be a ban on fracking. Why can't they just go, yeah, you know what? I got it wrong. I was talking to the wrong people. She's had this ridiculously high turnover. like 42 of 47 people as vice president are gone. Just blame it on them. You know why these assholes are gone? Gave me the wrong information on fracking.
Bill Maher criticized Kamala Harris for what he sees as her trademark political style, dodging questions, shifting blame, and leaning on the media to smooth things over. He pointed to her shifting stance on fracking as a prime example, arguing that she conveniently rewrote her position when it became politically inconvenient. Maher also highlighted her viral word salad moment, when she was asked what she could do better than Joe Biden, but instead delivered a rambling answer that sounded polished but lacked substance. For Maher, this perfectly captured her communication problem, saying a lot without offering much clarity, a habit that more and more voters are starting to notice.
The bug up there is about IVF. I mean, I certainly understand abortion. You know, there's a baby growing in the womb. I get it. It's going to be a human. Doesn't bother me. But yes, it is murder. Again, doesn't bother me that it is.
You're not supposed to mess with that. That's what many people think. You're supposed to let.
Oh, I see.
Great man upstairs.
Oh,
yeah. It goes back to that stem cell debate that George Bush had.
Yes.
Remember? It goes like the Terry Shive. It's just like life, laugh. We support laugh.
While Maher often calls out political spin and media bias, conservatives argue he has his own blind spot that undermines his credibility, his stance on abortion. They see it as inconsistent that Maher criticizes institutions like the Catholic Church for failing children, yet dismisses the issue of unborn life. To them, that contradiction makes it impossible for him to fully cross over to the conservative side. They believe you cannot claim to fight for justice while overlooking what they view as one of the most fundamental moral questions.
Explains Donald Trump's appeal to young men. I saw today that the gender gap, I think, is the widest. I mean, it's very predictable. I mean, the women are much more for Kamala and the men are much more for Trump generally.
But it's not predictable if you look at past elections where voters under 30, generally men and women, went for Democrats. This is remarkable. I think to explain it...
Wait, what? You're talking about under 30?
Yeah, the under 30 gender gap was very different than past elections. In 20...
Bigger?
Kamala Harris now faces a serious political problem. She is losing ground with young men, a demographic that was crucial to Democrats in 2020. Many in this group feel overlooked or dismissed, and when Harris had the chance to reconnect by picking a vice presidential running mate who could energize younger voters, she instead played it safe with an older choice. Donald Trump, by contrast, selected a younger running mate, signaling energy and confidence in the next generation. That sharp contrast, Maher suggested, is one of the key reasons young men are drifting away from Harris and the Democrats.
2020, young men and young women voted for Joe Biden at roughly the same rate. Over the last 4 years, and now with Kamala Harris, young women are voting for Kamala Harris at that same level, if not more. Kamala Harris has barely moved the needle with young men. They have gone more toward Trump. There's a lot of reasons for that. I think Trump has exploited culture war stuff. He appears on hyper masculine podcasts, and he just seems like a fun bro who's not going to ban your zins, you know?
Culturally, the divide runs even deeper. Maher pointed out how voices in media often mock communities and podcasts that promote strength, responsibility, and healthy masculinity, treating them as if they were a threat. But for many young men, those spaces are positive and necessary because strong men help build strong families, strong communities, and strong societies. Trump tapped into this cultural frustration by presenting himself as tough, resilient, and unapologetically confident, qualities that resonated with millions of voters. That wasn't just about politics. It became a cultural statement against the idea that masculinity itself is a problem.
This is a real issue for Kamala Harris, though. Like, this could be fatal for her campaign. So if Democrats need to win 60% of the youth vote to win the White House. Hillary came up short. Obama did it. Biden did it. Kamala Harris is right now at like 55% of the youth vote. If she doesn't get to 60, she could lose the election. And it's because young men, Gen Z men, are breaking to Trump.
Kamala Harris is staring down what could be one of the biggest political challenges of her career, and it all comes down to the growing disconnect with young men, a group that once gave Democrats a major boost, but is now steadily drifting away. This isn't just a minor polling issue. It's a serious warning sign that could decide the outcome of the next election. Many young men feel overlooked, mocked, or even alienated by the way the Democratic Party has handled cultural debates around masculinity, often framing strength, toughness, and traditional male roles as outdated or problematic. Instead of taking the opportunity to rebuild trust with this demographic, Harris doubled down on a safe and predictable approach, which to many comes across as out of touch. Meanwhile, Donald Trump went in the opposite direction, choosing a younger running mate and signaling confidence in the energy, resilience, and future of younger men, a move that resonated with those who want to see leadership that values them. Harris's failure to adapt to this cultural reality is now backfiring, and if she continues down this path, it could cost her dearly. Bill Maher's critiques only shine a brighter spotlight on these cracks, pointing out that token debates and surface-level messaging won't fool anyone anymore. Unless Harris makes a serious effort to address the concerns of young men, to acknowledge their frustrations, and to show respect for values like responsibility, purpose, and strength, she risks watching this vital voting bloc walk away completely. And when Election Day arrives, that frustration won't just show up in polls or online discussions. It will show up in the ballot box, where young men may be the deciding factor in whether a campaign survives or collapses.